Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're speaking all things sourdough. Sourdough starter is the much needed yeast that you would need in your bread. It's a live thriving yeast formula that you will cultivate for 7 days. This will last you a lifetime if you nurture it and take care of it properly. In this video, I will share with you my journey of cultivating my first starter. I've used a sourdough culture from Cultures to Love San Francisco and cultivated my first sourdough starter. So here I am going to share my journey with you guys. I hope you love this video. Some of the things that you would require on your journey would be wheat flour or atta, a spoon, a spatula, a glass jar, a bowl, a weighing scale, and a cheesecloth to tie up with a rubber band. In a clean glass jar, add 1 tablespoon flour. I've used atta. Add 1 tablespoon of water and the sourdough culture. The reason I've made my culture with atta is because I know I will have this available at home at all times. Now after I mixed it, I felt like my starter was a little too dry, so I added a little more water. You have to achieve a paste-like consistency but not have it watery. This is day 1 of my starter, my first feed. 12 hours later, I have seen some yeast activity. As you can see, it has risen and then it has fallen. Once it falls, it's time for us to feed it again. All this bubble activity means the starter is thriving. However, a starved starter means it needs more food. We always feed our starter in equal parts. That means 1 part starter, 1 part flour, and 1 part water. A good looking starter on top will have bubble activity, and a good looking starter will also peak at about 3 to 4 hours after feed. Your feed intervals must be between 8 to 12 hours if you're making this in India in a temperate climate. To measure your yeast activity, put a rubber band on your bottle so that you can calculate how much time it has taken to rise. If you see these bubbles, they're huge and big, which means that the yeast activity is amazing. If you feel your ambient temperature is very hot, place it in a water bath like mine. Try and keep tabs on your starter every 2 to 3 hours after feeding to find activity like this. Notice how the bubbles are nice and alive. If you choke your glass with too much starter, you will be stunting your yeast activity. A common beginner's mistake would be to feed larger proportions of flour and water in a smaller jar. Now, in a jar that is this big, I would recommend not more than 20 grams of starter, 20 grams of flour, and 20 grams of water. This will give you room to measure your activity. The first 8 feeds of your starter are the most crucial. So be a little disciplined and make sure your 8-hour interval is exactly 8 hours. Sometimes you may have a midnight run, but that's okay. You need to wake up, feed your child, and go back to bed. 8 feeds later, my sourdough starter was ready. It had passed the float test and it was bubbling and thriving. Hope this video has given you enough and more information that you would require to start on your own journey. Please do feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Once you're done using as much as you need for your recipe, please make sure to save some in a glass jar, turn an airtight lid on, and leave it in the refrigerator until the next time you want to use it. Please don't forget to store some, otherwise you finished all 7 days of your starter and you'll be left with nothing. Head to my description section so that you can order your culture today. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel.